Welcome, everyone, to the first Coatings Talk live stream of 2025. I know it's February, and I am very late at getting that first live stream out for the year, but we're here, we're live, and I got a great guest tonight. But before I introduce our guest, I just want to say I'm really thrilled to kick off the return of Coatings Talk live stream with all of you. You are such a dedicated community of protective coatings and corrosion control enthusiasts, and really advocates of both industries. And you really have made Coatings Talk a very successful series, and I greatly appreciate that. Now, this evening, I'll be previewing this April's AMP Annual Conference plus Expo 2025. It's going to be held in Nashville, Tennessee. Joining me this evening is Greg Muha, the Director of Conferences at AMP. Greg, welcome.
Thanks, Jim. Glad to be with you today. It's good to catch up with you.
Yeah, it's great to catch up with you. You and I have had a couple conversations over the last number of weeks and months leading up to this year's conference, which is rapidly approaching in April. Let's do this. Before we get into our conversation, I just want to encourage everyone who's watching to please feel free to jump into this broadcast. Post your comments, your questions throughout the stream. I really appreciate any insights and inquiries. And also, too, you're all invaluable when it comes to creating an interactive and engaging experience, especially on this live stream tonight. So if you're curious about specific conference sessions, or you're eager to learn more about the expo floor, or you just want to share your thoughts about your participation with the conference, feel free to jump in. Greg, let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the program when it comes to the technical. And just to let everyone know, too, that all you really need to do is if you go to amp.org and then you go to I think it's called, there it is, exhibits, I think it's called on the website. Events, that's it. Here we go. So go to events and you can go ahead and you can click into the annual conference. Now, the cool thing with the annual conference, if you go into the live program, you can log in. So if you already are registered, and I don't know if other people that are not registered can log in this way, but I logged into it. This is where you'll find an interactive listing of the technical program. Also, too, there's a section called My Event where you can actually tag things and have them show up in your itinerary. And then there's a listing for the exhibitors, networking when it comes to people who are attending the conference. Now, this also matches and mirrors the mobile app that's available now. And I believe that the networking part of the mobile app and probably here on the website for the event is totally up to date at this point, right, Greg?
We have a few updates that are coming. I just spoke with Ashley Wooldridge from our marketing team. She's been helping us get all these pages put up, and that'll be coming shortly. As you know, we just added all the speakers in and a lot of the attendees, our API with SwapCard and our registration phase, they went live. So starting to come in there. So a lot more coming in there, but definitely the latest is on there, and that's the best place to go to get up to speed.
Perfect. Why don't we go ahead and talk a little bit about this year's, what I think is probably best to talk a little bit about expectations. And the reason why I want to talk about this, I had this conversation. I've had this conversation with a lot of people. I have been in the process for weeks now, setting up meetings with people, talking with past attendees, people I believe that are going to be going to the conference. And my feedback has been super positive about Nashville. So I know the number out there was like 6,000, over 6,000. I really feel, based on my reading of tea leaves and feeling of the pulse out there, that I think this event's probably going to probably hit 7,000. That's my prediction. And Greg, I don't know
if there's any indicators.
Okay. I don't know if there's any indicators out there right now. I know people registering and I know people track things and stuff like that. So I'm not sure exactly, what are some of the feelings regarding this year's conference related to
Yeah.
your team and yourself.
Sure. Yeah, I can fill you in a little bit on that. I mean, first, we're really excited. Nashville is a great location. Um, People like to go there. It's as a destination city in addition to good convention city. So there's a lot of opportunity for folks there. Their convention center is an awesome facility. It's a beautiful facility. So people will be really impressed when they get in the building if they haven't been there before. So excited about that. But ultimately, as the planning phases have been going along, the one thing as we've been tracking our key performance indicators for 2025, we have been tracking slightly ahead. We had just about 6,000 registrants in New Orleans, and we have a weeks out tracking that began on January 12th this year. We were 12 weeks out, and so every week, we're kind of looking at that, and we've been pacing ahead of the last year's pace by anywhere between 100 to 250 delegates. So we're on track for a little over 6,000 if that holds up. So I hope your 7,000 is accurate or it comes to fruition. A lot of things that are hard to tell. We see the bulk of the registrations come in the last 2 to 4 weeks. So we're 7 weeks out as of this past Sunday. So we still have some time in there, and we'll see a lot of registrations come in. We'll also see a lot of exhibitor registrations come in. So what's mainly been coming in now are the true delegates, the people who are buying full conference, 1 day, 2 day, the people who are wanting to get the VIP pass for the exhibit hall or the exhibit only. So those are in play. But beyond that, the other thing that's really exciting this year, Jim, you and I've talked a lot about, how do we be more integrated in our approach? How do we, take the feedback that we've gotten over the last couple of years? How do we improve that overall user experience? And so I know a lot of people wonder, yeah, hey, what do they do when we take those surveys? Do they actually do anything with it? And we certainly do. We take that to heart, and we're always looking for how can we make a better experience. So this year, what we did was, for those who may not be aware, AMP has had a little bit of a shift in how it is structured. And we are now market facing by 3 main market segments. And one is the energy market, one is the civil infrastructure defense, and one is the strategic geographies and emerging industries. And so we have sector leaders for each of those areas. Tim Gonzalez is our vice president of the energy market. Jennifer Merck is our vice president of the defense and civil infrastructure market. And Dr. Gassam, he's leading the strategic geographies and emerging industries market. So they are now reporting to our chief growth officer who joined us at the beginning of the year, Keisha Crystal. She's got a ton of experience and she's got a lot of great ideas. I've been on a few meetings with her, and I know the organization is really excited to have her come on board. So she's working with those market segments leaders, our sales, our marketing, our membership, our user experience folks, and they're looking at what do those markets need? What do those industries need? And then the product side, which is where I'm at, we also have restructured a little over a year ago. All the product areas began reporting to my supervisor, Cindy O'Malley, who's our chief product and operations officer. And Cindy has a lot of experience in the industry. She's been there, done that with a lot of the people who are out in the field and a lot of the testing and understanding a lot of what folks are up against. So Cindy's leading that effort with the conferences and events, standards and technology area, education, certification, the publications area with all the magazines, our content management area. So we've been much more integrated in our approach. And I hope that everybody kind of sees that and feels that this year. The biggest change is with the market segmentation that we're focused on now. We worked with Brad Wilder, who's our senior director of technical engagement. He and his team, Sarah Olthoff and a few others, we really looked at how do we take a look at what standards committees are working on, what's coming in the pipeline for them, what are the technical communities of interest hearing about, what are all the other technical committees hearing about, what is the research and program, the research community doing, the technical communities, what are they hearing about, and then really asking for content to fill in those areas that we maybe haven't had in the conference before, but we're on the peripheral with those areas working. So after we did that, we asked Stephanie Chiswick, who is our senior manager for conference program development. She and Sherry McCaskey and Kirstiana Greenstein, they were working with Brad and Sarah and company. And really, they bucketed everything into our call for abstracts under the 3 market segments. And then as content came in and it was being reviewed and approved, again, bucketed that way. And Jim, I don't know if you want to show them, but if you look at that educational track segmentation there on the left, when you click on that, it shows that's the 3 market segments. Civil, infrastructure, defense, energy, strategic. And, interestingly, as I was looking at some of the advanced registrations, about 52% of our audience has indicated they're in the energy market. Another 31% have indicated they're in that civil, infrastructure, defense, and 17% in that strategic and emerging geography. So all the content is geared up that way. And then within the topics, for those that are interested in cathodic protection, that's broken down. And a lot of that falls under the energy sector. A lot of the folks who are interested in bridge or surface preparation, that's going to show up under the civil infrastructure. So they can slice and dice in a lot of ways that they haven't been able to do in the past. So they can look across market segment. They could look for a certain topic. But ultimately, the real, I think the big win for the overall user experience is every step of the way, Stephanie, Sherry, Brad, Sarah, and company, as they've been mapping things out into the program and saying, what makes sense here, they've also been doing an overlay, because one of the biggest pieces of feedback we've gotten over the years has been, hey, there's too many things that overlap. I'm interested in surface preparation activities, and I got to choose between 4 or 5 different things at one time, and I can't see as much as I want to see. So at every pass, they really took an overlay and said, what does the competition look like if I'm just wanting to see cathodic protection, or I want to see surface prep? I'm just using those as examples. Those were the kind of things that we were able to look and see, no, we're not having that kind of overlap. So I think people are going to like that. Things are a little bit more spread out in that regard. But I think the searchability will be a lot better. And ultimately, I think it'll be a better experience. The content looks really great. When you look at the breakdown, when you do those searches, and you don't have to click on them, but where you were showing people who are looking for the 3 markets, the things that come up in the search bar for the strategic and emerging, I think there's 138 different results that come up. For the energy sector, it's about 375. For the civil and infrastructure, it's just a little under 200. So you've got a lot of options in there within the content. And then even beyond that, when you look at the type breakdown, we've got symposia, we've got research in progress, we've got research topical symposia, we've got the presentation sessions where it's a presentation only. We've got the actual papers themselves within the symposia, standards and technical communities of interest and technical committees. So when you look at all that breakdown, it's right around 400 papers, 70 symposia, 32 different standard committees, TCIs, TCs, 148 in the research in progress. Research in progress has always done well. We've always had big numbers there. And Raghu and Doug from the research program committee have done a great job in bringing that into play. And then this year with the presentation only, we're up to about 35. And then couple that with 360-ish exhibitors, probably end up somewhere around 380, and another 40 to 50 sponsors. You've got a nice, well-rounded group of things for people to connect to. And all these people that are in the technical program, what we've been advising them is that, if you have somebody from your company that's involved in the technical program, make sure you're highlighting whatever it is they're talking about in their session, within your booth, to try to link it in. And I think the next logical step for us as we go forward will be to sync the exhibit piece up into this as well, to see how can we help the attendees find exhibitors on the floor based on that breakdown through the markets. This is a big undertaking to make this kind of a change. You're turning a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean, and you can't do it on a dime. So, we kind of started this with the program because the program is really what drives people to get here, and we'll look to expand on this. And with, Jen and Tim and Dr. Gassam and Keisha and all the folks tied into that area of the organization, we'll be looking for guidance from them along with the user experience to help us bring that along. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an overview.
Greg, it really does. I mean, what I find really impressive is that AMP has listened to the feedback from membership who said, we want to take this conference, we want to transform it. And what I've seen just from the conference site page right here that we're going through right now, it makes it more easier for me to map everything out, because there's so much opportunity out there. If you're a salesperson, this is probably one of the best, probably in my opinion, the one of the only, for corrosion and coatings events, for you to be able to network with potential partners, people you could collaborate with, owners, whatever you're looking for. This event, I think, really is really bringing together a lot of this now, because of the attention to detail on trying to tie everything together. It's not about exhibiting, there's all these registrations are so many are exhibitors and there's only so many customers. There's gold in everything right now that I've been looking through. And I think the way this has been laid out really showcases where the membership has come through and say, hey, listen, we want this to be a technical conference. We want it to be a networking opportunity. We want it to be a learning opportunity. We want it to be so much and more. And I think that this year, each year has improved since the integration of SSPC and NACE International into AMP. So I think this conference has been improving year after year. So kudos to you and your team and all the staff at AMP.
Yeah, it's a huge undertaking. There's a lot of people involved, and certainly, there's always challenges along the way. One of the things this year that I hope people have experienced an improvement on is in the registration system. I think you're well aware, there's been some communication coming out recently from AMP about some upgrades that we're making to our systems. You mentioned about, AMP's formation. In 2021, when AMP was formed, we've been working off of dozens of different systems. Imagine you've got all this data and information and, certifications in one system, memberships in another, finances in another, education has their own, conferences and events is doing their thing, standards is running off another platform, all these things, none of them really talking to each other, and you're trying to figure out how to make it all work. And when you're trying to make good business decisions for the members and, what meeting their needs and basing on the feedback, how can we better serve them? You need to have the data to support it. And, I used to always say, I want to trust this report. I really want to believe this report. But our reality was that it just, there was just too many systems there. So we're coming into, three main systems: our association management system, which is all the information on the members and how we keep the information on them, and then how that would connect to our financial management system for billing and all those things. And then the probably the most exciting part for the members will be the content management system, which will allow folks to really search all the content. I mean, you're talking about hundreds and thousands of papers over the years from AMP that are available, magazine articles, courses online. Those things are all going to be available and searchable within the content management system. And so, we're going to go through a little bit of pain as we get there. But as part of that process, we had to migrate away from the registration system that was a homegrown system that we had because it became obsolete, and it wasn't something that, we could continue to, we're not a software company, so we're not going to be able to keep it upgraded. And we have heard pretty good feedback with the new registration system that we're using this year, because it is much more self-service. People can go right in and make the registration, and then once they make the registration, if they need to change it, they can go in and change it. It's connected to their housing. They can print receipts if they need it. So a lot more user friendly in that regard. So the one thing about that with the system changes coming up, the registration for the event won't be impacted, because that is outside of our normal system. So anybody who wants to register during that time while we're going through the systems upgrade, they'll still be able to get in there and do that. It might impact some other things in some other areas, but this has been a long time coming, and short-term pain for long-term gain. And really, at the end of the day, we're going to be able to better serve our members and customers on this. And this is one of those things too, where it's never going to be about what you get right. It's going to be about what you don't get right. And, our IT guys, Fee and his team, I mean, they've been doing yeoman's work, and,
Yeah.
they're 24/7. I don't even know how they're surviving, but, they're going to get it done. And at the end of the day, it's going to be better for the members long term.
Yeah, and like I say, what's nice about the resources, a tool, you have the mobile app, which I've always really utilized that mobile app to be able to do connections, reach out to people. There might be some people that on the fly you're able to connect with, but what I like about integrating this online as well is that I can see people who are registered. Now there is opt-in, my visibility. You can make yourself invisible. You can make
Yep.
yourself visible, so you have that option. If you don't want anybody knowing you're attending, you can just click and change your visibility. No problem. That's fine. And then the other aspect of it too is really the my event, for you to be able to map out everything that you want to do. Here are the sessions I want to go to. Here are the standards meetings I need to go to. Here are some of the events. Now, when we talk about some of the on the floor, we have multiple theaters. Would you like to kind of maybe cover a little bit about those technical theaters?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple interesting things going on in there. We have 2 theaters, as you mentioned. One thing, we teamed up with the membership department where awards sit for the organization. And, the project awards, these are, amazing awards that are given for some of these, renovation projects done, restoration projects done on bridges and other assets. And so in one of the theaters on Wednesday, we're going to have all the project awards are going to be presented there. So each project award winner is going to have 20 minutes to, talk about their project and what was all involved in that. So anybody who's, wanting to hear about how these projects came to life and what it was like and what they all went through, that's going to be something that's going to happen on Wednesday. I believe on Tuesday, it's either Tuesday or Wednesday, we are also having on Amphitheater 2, we're gonna have a Spanish language session. Excuse me. So it'll be oral only presentations. All the speakers are going to be presenting in Spanish, and so this is something that we're piloting this year, and we're hoping to expand as we go forward. We get a lot of requests for information and collateral in Spanish and other languages as well. So this is kind of a first step along that way, and it's going to be tied to the basic inspections, and it's in conjunction with a couple other associations. So they'll be looking at things around surface prep, NDT, things of that nature. So using the instruments for calibration and measurements. So we're excited to see where that one's going to go. And then we also have a few other things in there where we try to bring in content that's going to be kind of connected for people who may just go into the exhibit hall and never take a step into a technical session room. So we try to have content in there for small businesses. So we have some marketing, how to leverage AI for marketing purposes for small business owners, things of that nature, how to build marketing plans if you're a small business owner, some of those things. So we're really excited to see where that's going to come from. And then we have quite a few other partners who have reached out to us, like Sherwin-Williams and like Exxon and some others who say, hey, we'd like to do some theater presentations. So we've been working with them to try to bring in as many types of content as we can. Certainly things that are happening in those sessions rooms sometimes can be a little too technical for somebody who just really wants to come in and look at the vendors and see the what kind of tools and services are there and still pick up some information there. So the theaters are geared more for that type of attendee, and then the highly technical information, the peer reviewed type of symposium, research in progress, that's kind of saved for up in the session rooms.
Perfect. So I highly encourage everyone to, log in to AMP on the conference side. Also to download the mobile app if you haven't done it. It's really simply just search under AMP conference, and it pops up for you. And
Yeah,
it's
Jim,
being updated. Go ahead.
I was going to say two other things. They're not necessarily down on the show floor, but we do have our keynote on Monday afternoon from 3:30 to 5. And we have Mike Massimino. He's a former astronaut from NASA. He's a professor at the University of Columbia, or Columbia University, sorry. And, he's had a cameo reoccurring appearance on the Big Bang Theory, and he does a really great job. It was interesting over the Christmas season. I saw him on probably 10 or 12 different television networks where there was a lot of talk around the Christmas season about the astronauts in space at the space station and haven't been up there that long, and what's it like to be there for the holiday. So he was kind of a go-to guest for a lot of people to talk about that. Some, really fascinating information. And he's going to be really talking about teamwork, and, it's the team, and, you succeed or you fail as a team. You're not on your own. And he has some really unique perspectives about, how teams he's been on have what seemed to be a failure, but turned out to be something that really helped propel them to some great things. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what he has to say. And then, one thing that's been kind of a fan favorite on the technical sessions is the Pipeline Safety Forum. And Tim Gonzalez has been working with Kevin Garrity and a lot of folks over the years on that. And it's kind of grown to this year. It's a full day forum. So, and I just was talking to Tim last week about this, and he was sharing with me that they have a lot of the regulators from the new administration that are going to be from PHMSA that are going to be here. And we were a little bit concerned, like, with some of the changeovers, we've been working on this. Are they still going to come? Who's going to be there? Are there going to be any changes? And Tim said that he's expecting, some really high level regulators coming in, and really excited about that opportunity. So much so that they're already talking about that maybe being a 2-day forum for next year, and we'll see where that goes. But that will definitely be one that is going to be something. If you're in that world, that'll be a can't miss, and that's on Tuesday. So it's almost not fair to call out a couple like that, but I do, because last year we had standing room only in that Pipeline Safety Forum. So obviously we took a look at the room. We've got a bigger room, and with where we're at right now, there's just a lot of talk on that topic. So really curious to see how those go off. And the keynote's been a fan favorite as well. We've had the last several years, with Terry Bradshaw and then Dr. Kaku, we've had some really good keynotes. So looking forward to that as well.
Well, I can say that I love pipelines, so count me in.
Yeah.
Before we break off, Greg, what I wanted to talk about, I did a newsletter this morning for Coatings Talk to talk a little bit about the AMP system update. And as Greg had mentioned, you had integration of Legacy SSPC, Legacy NACE International, multiple different systems going on. And I would imagine, Greg, this is just to bring everything into one unified system. Is that what this update is?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. But since Alan Thomas came on board as our CEO, he's talked a lot about beyond digital and digital transformation.
Got it.
If you follow him on LinkedIn, you see a lot of posts. He's very active there, and he's been talking a lot about that. And even when you show that website there, you're talking about the digital offering. So it's really bringing us up to speed. We just had legacy systems that, as we came to be in the merger, needed to be upgraded, but we had to figure a lot of things out. It took a little longer than maybe we had hoped it would, but we're at that point, and there's never a good time, to have to shut down some things to get it right. But this has been a long time coming, and there's a lot of excitement around the organization about being able to provide better user experiences, to be able to better serve our members, and really to help us. I talked about that integrated approach with the product areas, and then I talked a little bit about the market segments and the growth team that Keisha's leading. I could tell you our product team and Keisha's growth team, Cindy's product team and Keisha's growth team, we've been starting to come together and really look at how do we create the products in a way that we're making decisions that's based on market inputs and feedback, and not just one person, because you had a silent majority that said, oh, you need to do something on A, B, or C, and then you do it, and nobody's taking the course or nobody's using the product, and next thing you're like, where do we go from here? So it's been really refreshing to be a part of those conversations. We've got some sub teams that are set up that are, taking a look at some things. So I really think that, as this system comes online and these new tools come online and the new blood that's been brought into the organization is really going to help drive where we're going, and really will be about that beyond digital element that Alan's been talking about for quite a while now.
Perfect. So in roughly 10 days away from now, on February 27th through March 11th, that's the transition phase. So there's going to be no access to most systems. And the target for March 11th is that the new systems will be alive and running. So here's going to be what's changing. As Greg mentioned, improved features and upgrades, a new AMP store. I am so happy about that. Revamped AMP profile page, and then updated course scheduling page and educational transcripts. And then for the disruptions, you can see here, there will be no access to my AMP profile, no access to AMP standards, no course registrations, purchases, or renewals, no access to e-courses, no book or ebook purchases, but everything related to the conference will still be up and running, correct, Greg?
The registration system will be up. Anybody who's looking to book a booth, those systems are third-party systems that we use, so those will be up and running. It's just anything that would have been, in our database or our financial management system. So, be up and running on March 11th. As I said, I think the big thing that people are going to be really pleased with is the content management system. All of the I did a demo with the new site a couple of weeks ago with Mandy May, who's our director of content management, and she's been working with each of the product areas. So she was working with me for all the technical papers, but she's been working with the education department and the magazine folks and all the articles and the standards. So, if you're coming into that new system and you want to find anything on cathodic protection, it's going to pull up. Those results are just going to be amazingly easy for folks. And as that system goes along and people start using it more, it'll help them. It'll become more intuitive and help lead them to the content. One of the I mentioned, a lot of what we're doing is based on improved user experience, based on feedback. And a lot of the feedback we got early on as AMP was that it was hard to find our content. People would come to the website and they're looking for certain kind of papers. It was hard to find. And this new content management system is going to make it much easier to find. We have a whole new taxonomy in there that people will be able to search by. And all of us across the product areas have synced up with that taxonomy. And so when you're putting in that keyword search into the system, you're going to get papers, you're going to get magazine articles, you're going to get training offerings, whether they're live, in person, on demand, virtual. You're going to get certification type content that pops up, all the different standards and technical communities of interest. So there's going to be a lot in there. I think that's going to be the one thing that people will really get the most benefit out of. That's the one thing that'll probably be most noticeable to them. A lot of the other things will be seamless to them because, as rudimentary as it sounds, it's just having, all of the history for people calling about their certifications. And as I was mentioned, you have these different systems, so you don't even know where to go look for it. And if you don't work in that department, you can't really help somebody out. So, this new system will have everything in one place and, kind of that common truth for the whole organization. So like I said, a long time coming. And I can't imagine what it's been like for our project management office and our leadership team and our IT team. I mean, they've been working on this for a long time, and it's coming up on game day here. So I'm excited for them and really rooting them on.
Yeah, and from March 11th through the 21st, including weekends, there'll be extended customer support through the 800 number. And then the thing to keep in mind for everybody, that post March 11th, you're going to have to reset your password. So just keep that in mind. And then if you go to the AMP website, there's a clickable there for you about these changes that are happening. And you can pop down, you can see it's got minuses and pluses, so you can expand and shrink different aspects of what's happening. For everyone just to be kind of patient through this transition, but a good thing is going to come out on the other end. And I'm really excited to look forward to the new store and also a lot of the features and accessibility that the membership will have.
Yeah, Jim, for somebody like you, super user, I think, you're going to really benefit from a lot of this. And I'll be real curious to see how you're able to, really leverage that into a lot of what you're doing in the digital world too. I know you've been using a lot of the AMP resources, and I think this is going to make things a lot easier for folks like yourself.
Yeah, it makes you highly effective. Let's say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Greg, in closing out, we're a little over the bottom of the hour here, but in closing out this live stream, is there any message, any thought, any inspiration you want to leave for people who will be watching this live and watch this in a
Sure.
replay regarding the conference?
Yeah, sure. The first thing I want to do is say, to our members, it takes a lot of people to put this event on, and the staff part of it is just really, we're the stewards of facilitating getting people where they need to be and helping them do what they got to do. But it's really about the subject matter expert volunteers that are out there, the people authoring papers, organizing sessions, reviewing papers, bringing this content to life. And so I can't thank them enough. I know they all have day jobs, and really appreciative of every volunteer who's been involved in bringing that content to life. Also very grateful for all of our exhibitors and sponsors. We couldn't do this without them, and they're a big part of the event. I mean, it's one big event, but some people only come for the display. Some people only come for the content. We're doing everything we can to try to get people to go to both and be involved. But can't thank those folks enough. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my team. I've got a great group of people that have been wonderful to work with. And, as we've been coming together as a group here over the last 12 months, it's been great to watch how things have really been bubbling up and coming together. Sherry McCaskey and Christy Saber and Natalie Short, they're on kind of the operations and logistics side. So, our members that are coming in, any of the catering items and the AV in the rooms and the registration in the hotels, they're doing all kind of things behind the scenes to make that as seamless as possible for folks. And then we got Sam Burrill and Alina Blanco and Amanda Ryan, who are on the exhibits and sponsorship side of things. So they're working with all the exhibitors and sponsors to get them set up in their booth and helping with all the deliverables. And then Stephanie Chiswick and Kirstiana Greenstein, they're working on the program piece. So they're dealing with a lot of the elements. Sherry McCaskey's been a big help there as well. And they're just making sure everybody has what they need. We had a change there as well with a third-party system. So they've been carrying a lot of the weight for that. And, so I'm thankful for them. And then, as I said, my peers that are on the product team with me, we've really been integrated in that approach. And so, Brad Wilder and his team, and Jennifer Rogers and Alina Lizarraga and Mandy May, Keenan Lobster. I mean, they've all been great. Cindy O'Malley helping us, really be integrated in that. And Jim, I want to thank you too, because, you've been a real advocate for AMP, and not, you don't just say what you like. You've been, you and I have had a lot of conversations. You've been a voice of giving constructive feedback too, and I appreciate that. Feedback is a gift, and I know you are connected to a lot of people, so appreciate you doing this to help put this out. And I know you're doing it for the good of industry, and I think that's the big thing, is that this platform of the AMP Annual Conference is a place where everybody can come together. They might be fierce competitors out there in the marketplace, but this is the one place where they all come together to advance the industry. Things like workforce development, and how do you deal with regulatory and compliance issues, and the familial part of it, where it's kind of like a reunion for a lot of people coming together. That's really important, and you're a big part of that. So I thank you for everything that you're doing, along with a bunch of other people out there doing that.
Well, I do it lightly. Yeah, I do it for the passion of both coatings and corrosion, but I'll be brutally honest with you. Business. This is the best business opportunity in whatever side of the business you're working in. You get owners, you get other partners, you get lots of great connections and networking opportunities, and you get a great opportunity to kind of create yourself in the industry and become, if you want to be an influencer, you can do that. So that being said, when I talk about the business stuff, I just want to have everyone to make sure that they stop over at the Seal for Life booth 1513 and we're at the entrance on the left. We're the third booth up. This is the closest I've ever been to the entrance on the exhibit floor. So I want everybody to come, and I want to shake your hand. I want to thank you for coming and supporting AMP at the conference, but also supporting the industries as well. So Greg, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jim. Good talking to you, and I look forward to seeing you in Nashville. Safe travels.
All right. And everyone, thank you very much for watching the live stream. I'll be scheduling more live streams as the rest of the year 2025 unfolds. So everybody have a good rest of your evening, morning, or afternoon, no matter where in the world you're watching this live stream. Thank you.